The actual release date for Rimworld Anomaly has been revealed alongside more details on some of the horrifying creatures in this DLC and how you can contain them. Getting straight to it, the devs share with us that Rimworld Anomaly will be coming out on April 11th, only 2 weeks away. They also let us know that this is actually the second out of 4 preview blogs that will come out leading up to the release. Now jumping to some more new details about the content of the DLC itself, first we get a look at Shamblers. Shamblers are basically zombies which are created when dead life dust, a cloud of corrupted archites, settles on a corpse. This not only affects human corpses, but also other creatures like your old pet Megasloth who's buried out back. However, after only a few days, the archites will run out of power and the Shambler will go back to just being a dead body. You can also weaponize the dead life dust by putting it in mortar shells and IEDs. When Shamblers are created like this, they will not attack any of your colonists. Shamblers are immune to pain, which makes them hard to kill but easy to incapacitate. This is great for when you're trying to bring one to your containment facility, which will be talked about in a bit. Next though are Revenants. These are invisible hunters that stalk your colonists and then appear in front of them only to hypnotize them into an endless nightmare. It will then retreat to its lair before going out and doing it again and again until you stop it. There are a couple ways to track and detect these terrible entities. If you manage to damage one, it might leave chunks of its flesh behind which you can then study to improve your tracking. You can also build proximity alarms which will go off when one is near, and its invisibility can be disrupted if it gets hit by EMPs, explosions, fire foam, fire, and new special bioferrite disruptor flares. The best time to attack and capture it is when it has retreated to its lair to rest. You can then get the upper hand by attacking it before it wakes up. After that, we have metal horror infestations. This is when a parasitic creature known as a metal horror secretly takes control of one of your colonists by spreading through their nervous system. They then imitate their host's behavior nearly perfectly and look for ways to infest your other colonists. One sure way to know if you have an infestation of these is if you find fleshy gray tissue lying around your base, as the parasite will shed this periodically. You can analyze this tissue to find out who the host is, perform surgical tests, or even just quarantine everyone in their rooms and wait to see who's shedding the gray tissue. Another thing you can do is imprison and interrogate those who you suspect. If it's detected, the metal horror will cut its way out of the host and attack. Now moving on to how you're going to contain these anomalous entities. The most basic and primitive thing you can do is carry the downed creature to a holding spot. This can temporarily restrain weak enemies. Your colonists can then use this spot to study the entity that it's containing. Of course, there's a lot more that you can do in order to make your containment facility more secure and keep the entities from escaping. You should first build the upgraded version of the holding spot, which is the containment platform. Then, you can also build an electric inhibitor to automatically suppress them instead of having a colonist do it manually for each one. There is also now bioferrite flooring and walls which help suppress them even further. Once you have your entities securely contained, you can assign a colonist to dark research to study them, which is a whole separate technology tree of its own. The entities can also be harvested for electricity. If you build an electro harvester, it will begin drawing power from them. Also, the way you obtain bioferrite is by harvesting it from your captured entities with a bioferrite harvester. Of course, doing both of these things will anger the monster, making it more likely that they will try to escape. As you can probably already tell, bioferrite has many uses in this DLC and we've only scratched the surface. If you build a bioferrite shaper, you can craft new gear and weapons. The weapons you can make are the Nerve Spiker, which is the crossbow that stuns your targets, the Incinerator, which is the new flamethrower, the Dead Life IEDs and mortars, and those disruptor flares that help you find revenants. It can also make psychic weapons with all kinds of different effects, such as driving everyone in the region to madness or mutating them all into flesh beasts. In addition to this, you can also use it at the new serum lab to create serums like Void Sight Serum, which increases dark research speed at the cost of sanity, Juggernaut Serum, which increases strength, speed, and recovery time, Metal Blood Serum, which makes you resistant to damage but vulnerable to fire, and Mind Numb Serum, which will help prevent mental breaks but at the same time also prevent inspirations. One final thing that it can do, which also happens to be the final thing in this preview, is that it can be used to surgically and irreversibly change a human into a ghoul, which is basically a mindless killer with fierce melee skills that can be augmented with a bunch of different implants. These ghouls will be the topic of one of the future Rimworld Anomaly previews that are coming up. That's all for this one, and I'll see you again soon for more Rimworld Anomaly previews and news. Also Project Zomboid stuff soon.